Hey everyone, and welcome back. Before we begin here today, please make sure that you like and subscribe because it really does help us out over here. And it also helps us reach others in need of assistance with these topics. So what we're going to be covering today is we're going to be going over algebra, and we're going to be working on combining like terms. And this will be our first part in this series. So we are tasked with simplifying each of the following expressions, and we have three of them. The third I will scroll up to see. So whenever you are simplifying an expression and combining like terms, all that means is you are putting together terms that are alike. So for instance, if we just have numbers with no x value attached to them or no variable attached to them, such as 3, 4, 5, and 6, we would combine those all together into a single number. Basically, we would add them all up to get 18. Well, we would do the same thing if we had x variables attached to these numbers. Since they are all x, to simplify them down, instead of having x, 2x, 3x, and 4x, we would all add them together to get a final solution, which would be, let's see, 4 plus 3 is 7, plus 2 is 9, and that would be 10x. Same thing if you have x to some power here as well. You would combine everything that has that same power together into a single x squared version. And it doesn't necessarily have to be x. You can have a variable of y. You can have a variable w, whatever the variable is. If it is like another variable or like another term inside your equation, you put it together. All right, so going over that brief explanation, let's actually work some problems here, and I'll show you what we're doing here. So looking at our first expression here, which an expression is just an equation that does not have an equal sign to it. So we have 6x plus 9 plus 3x minus 5. So what we're going to do is we are going to move everything that has an x variable attached to it to the beginning here. So we have 6x, and then we have plus 3x. The 9 and the 5 do not have an x attached with them, so I'm not going to include them in this first part. Then I'm going to add in my second part, which includes everything that does not have an x with it, which would be my 9 and my minus 5. You have to watch out for that. So we'd have 9 and then the negative 5 here. See how I've separated these out into terms with x, terms without x. So what we're going to do is we're just going to add these two together. Well, how many total do I have? Well, I have 6x's plus 3x's. That gives me 9x total. And then plus the second portion, which is 9 minus 5, which gives me 4. And that would be my simplification of that expression by combining terms that are alike. Alrighty, so let's move on to our second one over here. We have x to the fourth plus 5 minus 3x to the fourth. All right, let's gather up everything that we have with x to the fourth. So we would have the first one, which is just x to the fourth. This one plus 5, no x to the fourth attached to it, so let's not include it just yet. And then we have minus 3x to the fourth. You have to include that minus sign, 3x to the fourth. And then I'm going to have plus my remainder stuff. Well, the 5 is the only other thing here. It's by itself, by its lonesome. Nothing really to combine with the 5. It just kind of hangs out there. So what we have here is 1x to the fourth. Anytime it doesn't have a number with it, it's always going to be 1. So it's 1x to the fourth minus off 3x to the fourth. So it's like I have one of these, and I'm taking away 3 of them. So 1 minus 3 gives me minus 2x to the fourth. So essentially, when you're combining terms, just realize that this is like a solid value that's not going to change. It's a representation of something. And you're just looking at the numbers that are in front of it and adding and subtracting them accordingly, and then bringing down that variable. And then lastly, we have the plus 5 over here, which, as I said, nothing to combine with it. So it just remains by itself. So this expression up here turns into minus 2x to the fourth plus 5. Alrighty, so let's scroll down and do our last one here. For our last one, we have 8x squared minus 6x minus 3x squared plus 4x. Okay, let's start with our first term here, which is usually a good place to start in combining like terms. Just work your way from left to right. So we have x squared up first. So let's go 8x squared. Nope, don't include this one. It's not squared. Well, we have one right here that's squared. So we're going to have minus 3x. And then the last one is not squared. So that's all I have for my x squared portions. And then plus My other non-x squared portions, well, we have x, 6x here minus 6x, so include the minus sign. So that takes care of that one. We've already done that one. And then we will have plus 4x here as well. Now, if I had an additional plus 5 here, it is totally different from the previous two because this is x to the squared. This is just x. We would have an additional plus 5 over here if we had that. But in this case, we do not. So what is 8 minus off 3? Because with the x squares remain the same, so just drop that down. And then we would have x, or 8 minus 3, which gives me 5x squared. And then my second portion over here, if I have plus, I would have minus 6x plus 4x. So just drop that variable down. And then you're just looking at the numbers in front. So minus 6 plus 4 gives me a minus 2x. Well, the minus sign is going to come out here and change this plus to a minus. So we end up with 5x squared minus 2x. So this entire equation right here will boil down to 5x squared minus off 2x. And depending on what you're working on, that would make that so much easier to work with. So that's how you would simplify expressions. Just combine all terms that are alike. So I hope this video was helpful. And if you want to see more problem solved this Friday, please check out the other videos on our channels. We're trying to upload daily. Also, if you haven't done so already, please like this video, leave a positive comment below, and subscribe to the channel because all of that does help us out. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have a great day.